Hello, saxophone class. Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing good. Make sure you guys are ready, set up to go, and have your books open to pages 4 and 5 to start our warm-up, and then we'll get started with the rest of our lesson today. Go ahead and pause the video until you're ready. Okay, so assuming that you have everything ready to go, we're going to do the odd numbers from 1 through 9 non-stop. Meaning, I'm going to play the actual exercises, and as soon as we get to the end, last measure of number 1, we'll go right to number 3. Go to the last measure of number 3, where we're just resting, go to number 5. Going to do number 7 and 9. So 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9 for our warm-up, and then we're going to do a little exercise afterwards on articulation. Let's get set up with our good posture. Make sure saxophones, of course, you have your neck strap adjusted properly. And let's get started with number 1. That's going to be our D. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Go to number 3. Number 5. Number 7. And lastly, 9. Relax. All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to try reviewing our articulations, the way we tongue on our instrument. I'm hearing a lot of you guys from the Flipgrid videos and in class recently, in the past, where we're still doing a lot of what's called huffing and puffing. Now, we're trying to avoid the huffing and puffing altogether. We want to be able to play one series of notes or melody of quarter notes without having to breathe between each quarter note sound. We want to make sure that it's one breath of air, and what you're doing is you're slicing the air in the beginning of the quarter note sound to articulate the beginning of that sound. For example, if I'm going to play number 1, but instead of whole notes, I'm going to play quarter notes. So kind of like number 2 in our book. I'm going to play 4 quarter notes, rest for 4 beats, 4 quarter notes, and rest for 4 beats. Here's what that should sound like. One, 2, 3. So I exhaled for a full 4 beats, and I made sure that the beginning of my quarter note sound had a tongue attached to it, making the t or t sound. I want you guys to repeat after me. Me first. I want you to pretend like you're blowing air through a tiny straw, or actually a big straw, and I want you to force that air through by spitting a kind of like a spitball at someone. So imagine winding up a piece of paper and then shooting a spitball through that straw. We don't want to just go hoo. You want to go use our tongue to really hit that spit wad out really fast. And the same thing is occurring when you tongue into your instrument. And if you do it long enough, repeat after me, then you're going to have a long stream of air and sound. Here's what that would sound like. Try that with me. Get set. We're going to play our D, and we're going to make sure we tongue and attack that note right away and hold it out until I cut you off with this motion here. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2, 3. Now, I want you to do that twice this time. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and you're going to go without stopping the air with your tongue or with your air, meaning that you're always going to be exhaling. Here's what it's supposed to sound like. Let's try that together. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Again. 2, 3. Okay. Now let's try those 4 quarter notes. We're playing on measure 1 of number 2. Those 4 Ds are all one long stream of air without stopping the air. Here's what it's supposed to sound like again. 1, 2, 3. Let's try that with me. 1, 2, 3. Again. 3. Reminder, we want to avoid this sound. While technically it's correct because you're playing quarter notes, the sound isn't long enough and you're not articulating the beginning of the sound. You're huffing or puffing each quarter note, and it's just a small burst of air. You want to have a long burst of air for at least 4 beats worth, where you tongue the attack of the note whenever the beat occurs on that quarter note. So instead of, you want to hear long quarter notes spliced into 4 parts: beginning, second beat, third beat, and 4th beat. Now let's try doing the same exercise that we warmed up with, numbers 1 through 9, but instead of whole notes, we'll play each of them as quarter notes. So again, we're going to do the odd numbers 1 through 9, but instead of whole notes, those will be 4 quarter notes of that pitch. Let's get started. Starting on number 1. 1, 2, 3. Number 3. Number 5. Oh. Number 5. Number 7. Number 9. And relax. Let's turn the page over now to page 6. We're going to look at number 15, rhythm clap. Now, number 15, we're introducing what are called half notes. We briefly talked about this about 2 weeks ago in class, and half notes get how many beats of sound? They get 2 beats of sound. Now, there's an alternate version called a half rest, and that still gives us 2 beats, but of silence, meaning that we're quiet. Now, how we identify that half note is that the half note head is not filled in, and it still has a stem, just like a quarter note. But the only difference between a quarter note and a half note is the quarter note's note head is filled, and the half note is not. Now, the half rest looks completely different from the quarter rest. The half rest looks like a box sitting on top of the third line. Remember that. The box sitting on top of the third line is always the half rest. Now, let's try looking at number 15, and we're going to count and clap the rhythm, meaning that we're going to clap when we're supposed to articulate a sound and count only the number when the sound begins. Here's what I mean by that. When we see measure 1, the half note, it gets 2 beats of sound, so we'd have to count 1 and 2 within 1 clap or 1 sound. So we'd count and clap on beat 1 while still singing the note like the sound 1 that we counted, and then on beat 3 we'd count those quarter notes 3 and 4. Here's measure 1. 1, 3, 4. Let's try it with the metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. Okay, let's try it again. 3, go. 1, 3, 4. And if you paid attention, you'd have noticed that there is a beat still occurring within the half note, but instead of singing the words beat 2 or singing 2, we just sustain the sound from beat 1 that started the sound. Let's try and review the whole thing now with the repeat sign at the end on number 15. Count and clap with me. Otherwise, just watch the video and we'll try this again in a second. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Repeat. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. All right, let's try that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Repeat. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 3, 4. 1. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Now let's look at number 16. Number 16 is the same exact rhythm, same exact amount of measures, and we have the pitches now added to this. So review the pitches real quick and let's get started. Pause the video and then resume when you're ready. Okay, so now that you've had a chance to review the notes by yourselves, we're now going to singer number 16. So just like the counting and clapping, the rhythm's the same. You don't have to count the rhythm. We just have to now sing the rhythm with the note name instead, with fingering on the instrument. Our first pitch should be a G. G. Let's get started. Singer. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, 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 A. B, 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 C. D, C, B, A, G. G, 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 A. B, 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 C. D, C, B, A, G. Now, the biggest thing about singing is that you have to make sure that you actually sing the value of the note. You just don't sing the actual pitch or the actual note name. You also have to sing the right rhythm, meaning that you can't just go A, B, C, D. You have to sustain the sound just as if you were when you're playing quarter notes in the instrument. So now let's try playing this exercise together. 1, 2, 3. All right, so I can already anticipate that you probably had a little bit of trouble on that very last part there of number 16. We went down the pentascale going D, C, B, A, G. So let's review that real quick and go slowly. We're gonna play just measure 3 and measure 4. So those quarter notes and that half note. Slowly without the metronome. Ready? 2, 3, D. Let's try that again. 2, 3 on D. Now let's try a little bit faster. Just measure 3 and 4 with the metronome. So we have D, C, B, A, G. Get set. 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3. Now, if you're still struggling with this, there's probably an easy explanation. One of the explanations may be that your fingers are not in the right spot, meaning that you have your fingers way too high above the keys or over a different key than you need to. So make sure that you're always hovering your fingers on the keys or over the keys. Whenever you're touching the key and your finger is just resting on it rather than closing the keyhole, all right, or closing the key into the hole, you can rest your fingers on the keys. You're not going to press them down, only unless you want to. So to make it easier for yourself, when you're playing, for example, C, keep your middle finger on the key when you flip to B, meaning instead of flipping your middle finger all the way up and dropping your first finger, keep your fingers always on the key at all times, and then when you switch fingers, it's easier to move because you're doing less movement than you were trying to flip it around. Same thing goes when you go between any other note. Keep your fingers always on the keys, touching the pearls, and then pressing only the ones you need to, and lifting not all the way up, but just until the key opens. So let's try that slowly again with the motion between C and B. We're going to go back and forth between C and B, starting on C. Ready? C. Let's try that again. Starting on C. 3. If you work on this slowly between all the notes and always make sure that your fingers move only as much as they need to, you'll be a faster player and it'll be easier to play the fingerings because your fingers will already be touching the keys that you need to rather than having to search for them when they're way up high above the keys. Okay, so let's try this exercise again now they had a chance to look at measures 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3. All right, guys, good job today. We'll see you guys again tomorrow. Hope you had a good one. Don't forget to swab out and pack up. Bye.